The girl from Zhejiang, with a princess syndrome, demands that her boyfriend treat her like a spoiled child and tolerate all her flaws. However, she keeps ambiguous relationships with her ex-boyfriend, a so-called sworn brother, and several other men. The boyfriend is jealous, exhausted, and no longer knows what to do. Let's see what the invited expert has to say about it.
小女孩，你很可爱，但我不喜欢你，真心实意我不喜欢你。你没有对爱人的善念，没有对人的尊重，没有对爱的尊重，而且你把这一切都当得理直气壮。
Today we saw a woman in her 20s insisting on treating herself like a child, demanding that her boyfriend tolerate all of her flaws. We'll hear some extremely sharp commentary later on. But first, let's understand what kind of princess syndrome girl managed to torment her boyfriend until he couldn't take it anymore. Everyone, move those golden hands, leave a like, and follow the page to support us. I wish you peace, joy, and lots of good fortune, and may you definitely get rich next year. The male protagonist, Mr. Zhu, is from Henan. He is 27 years old and works part-time as a tour guide. The female protagonist, Xiao Wu, is 23 and from Zhejiang. From her appearance, so cute and gentle, she truly looks adorable. But what exactly did she do that went so far? As soon as the couple stepped onto the stage, Zhao Chuan couldn't hold back his curiosity and asked immediately.
是怎么认识的？
有一次我发布那个招聘信息，然后他正好跟我报名，然后我们就认识。
哦，谈了多久了？
谈了有1年多了。
喜欢这姑娘吗？
挺喜欢的。
女生嘛都有点任性嘛，就包容不了了。怎么任性啊？你跟我说说。
The young man explained that the girl showed up shortly after he had broken up with his ex. At that time, he was feeling down, and she constantly found things for him to do, which made their interactions pleasant. She was the type of person who easily wins people over. They talked for a while until she took the initiative and confessed her feelings to him. He liked her too, her cute, playful, charming way of acting. Sometimes she would pout or act sweet and clingy, and he thought that was adorable. So they quickly made the relationship official. But over the year and a half they spent together, he noticed that she was becoming more and more spoiled, to the point where her behavior became unbearable. Then the girl explained her intentions. I thought, since we got together right when I ended my last relationship, being with him would help me forget the pain from the past. Zhao Chuan then asked, so you don't really like him? You're with him just to forget your ex? Is that it? Not completely. Then answer directly, are you with him because you actually liked him, or because you wanted to escape your ex? She hesitated. Both, I guess. First, I wanted to heal myself. Second, he's usually very good to me. So, both reasons. The truth is that she was bored after breaking up with her ex, and this guy happened to be the one who accompanied her during that dark period. And yes, she did have a bit of affection for him. But clearly, she couldn't stay alone for long. Barely out of a breakup, she was already flirting with someone else. But what bothered the boyfriend even more was what came next. She kept in contact with her ex, and even asked him for money. When I found out, I couldn't take it. Even while dating me, I was constantly giving her money to spend. I don't think that's asking too much, right? But hadn't you two already broken up? Yes, but still, we were friends. I felt sad, you know? Him helping me a little shouldn't be a big deal. That is completely unacceptable. If the two of them are in a relationship now, it makes no sense to use emotional leftovers from the past to damage the present. If it ended, then it should end completely, no dragging things on. And the worst part, asking your ex for money. This is the ultimate humiliation for the current boyfriend. If she needed money, why not ask her current partner? Or was asking for money just an excuse? And maybe she was still emotionally tied to her ex? The young man also couldn't accept his girlfriend having any ambiguous involvement with other men. That is the most basic boundary in any relationship. But what came next left everyone stunned.
跟我在一起的时候，只要我一撒娇，我想要什么他都会给我买。
呀，你有没有想过要天上的星星啊，姑娘？
你天上星星摘下来没什么用处。
刚刚
怎么你？
他就骗我去给我买裤子，然后我去买裤子的时候，我在里面放护总，他给我把裤子拿走了啊，然后钱包啊、手机啊都在裤子里面啊。当时他走了之后，我就特尴尬，我接了个电话，打电话他不接，然后我就在商场里面傻等了大半天。
他不给我买口红的，那我就稍微惩罚他一下，怎么了？
他不给你买，他为什么要给你买口红啊？
因为他的钱不花在我身上，他还想花在谁身上呀？
他就是这么任性。
She was naturally like that. This girl is bossy, difficult, spoiled, and acts without thinking. When the boy asked if she wanted the stars in the sky, She replied they were useless. But between the lines, what she really meant was, if she wanted them, and if they were useful, the boyfriend would be obligated to get them for her. With such an arrogant and tyrannical princess syndrome, who could put up with that? Then the young man described another infuriating situation. I said, let's talk. And she replied, if that guy doesn't go with me, then I'll go with someone else. And she even took a photo hugging another guy. From the start, it was clear this story wouldn't end well. The young man said everything began on the day he couldn't accompany her to an event. As soon as she found out he wasn't going, she reacted immediately. He won't go with me? Then of course I'll call another friend. My best friend is going with her boyfriend. Am I supposed to show up alone? When they asked who she had called, she answered without hesitation. A guy who had tried to pursue me before. The boyfriend was furious. His best friend would show up with her partner, and she would arrive accompanied by a guy who had already tried to win her over, posting intimate photos with him in her stories. All because her boyfriend happened to be busy that day. The fight was so intense that the two broke up for 2 weeks. But later they started talking again, and it was the young man who asked to get back together. A gesture that even surprised the host, who expressed frustration at his lack of firmness. Even so, everyone hoped the girl would change, that she would keep more distance from other men. But what happened next exceeded all expectations. The young man revealed. I found something even worse. She got herself a sworn brother. When I found out, I asked her to cut contact. She agreed. But later I discovered that whenever he called her to eat or sing karaoke, she went anyway. He tried to make her think. If I got myself a sworn sister, what would you think? If I went out with her, would you be okay with it? And her answer was even worse. Wanna try and see what happens? Then don't bother coming home. The relationship started falling apart quickly. She seemed to take pleasure in playing with his feelings. As if nothing had consequences. If there was real love, there wouldn't be so much intimate contact with other men. So much brother this, brother that. And as if that weren't enough, there was another hit. The young man continued. She took a few thousand yuan from me, and simply disappeared. Didn't answer calls, didn't reply to messages. Vanished for days. I even went to her hometown to look for her. When they finally met again, another conflict emerged. Her mother was sick, and she demanded that her boyfriend drop everything immediately and go with her. She also demanded that he give her money to travel right then. He tried to explain calmly. It's not that I don't want to give you the money. I have work, responsibilities. And traveling alone like that isn't safe. Let me sort things out and I'll go with you. But she didn't care, and then attacked. After being together for so long, why won't you pay? Isn't your money our money? Her logic always seemed to follow the same line. Since they had been together for a long time, his money should automatically belong to her. As time passed, her arrogance only grew. Until she said something that left him speechless. Isn't loving someone the same as treating your girlfriend like a spoiled child? Everyone does that. Why can't you? The young man, exhausted, replied. If we're going to build a life together, you need to grow up. You can't act like a child all the time. She responded. Before, you did everything I wanted. Why is everything I do wrong now? A 23-year-old woman insisting on being treated like a child. Surrounded by sworn brothers and old flirts. Following a pattern that would drive away any man looking for a real commitment. In the end, even Zhao Chuan realized the situation had gone way beyond any reasonable limit. And passed the case to the experts. Professor Zhuo Yang began his analysis by highlighting the girl's most striking statement. If he doesn't spend money on me, who else is he going to spend it on? And he replied directly. He could spend it on another woman, just like your ex spent money on his ex. But is that right? No. Absolutely not. The criticism hit hard. Her financial relationship with her ex had been problematic from the beginning. And all of her behavior revealed a deep lack of respect. For her boyfriend, for people, and for the very idea of love.
里面有一个问题，我就听得特别仔细，说这个，他的钱不给我花，给谁花呀？是吧？你问的问题，我来回答你啊。他可以给他前女友花呀，因为你的前男友就给了他的前女友花钱啊，所以他是不是也可以呢？
不可以，绝对不可以。
哦，不可以。所以你跟你前男友的这个金钱关系是不对的，对吗？
对的。
好， 还有一句话我听得特别扎得慌。招生老师问说：“哎，怎么不要天上的星星呢？天上的星星没有用啊。”
All of this is enough to cause genuine disgust. Love should be something pure, not loaded with selfish intentions. And if this girl doesn't change, it will be very hard for her to ever find a man who truly loves her and treats her well for a lifetime. Then, Professor Lu Qi gave the young woman a harsh critique. "You're cute, but I don't like you. Honestly, I don't like you. You have no kindness toward the one who loves you, no respect for people, and no respect for love." He continued, "And the worst part is that you act as if you're absolutely right about everything. I deeply, deeply dislike that attitude. Because when someone loves you and gives so much to you, the absolute least, you owe them is respect." The professor made it clear that he found her behavior unbearable. She could flirt with countless brothers, with other men, with her ex. But when the boy even hinted at spending money on his ex, or mentioned having a sworn sister, she said that was absolutely unacceptable. And what does that show? It shows that she can accept every advantage from others, with no limits at all. But she doesn't allow anyone to touch even a crumb of her cake. In the end, that's pure selfishness. She didn't have the basic respect a girlfriend should have for her partner. Everything she did was driven solely by her own whims. She thought it was natural for the guy to be obligated to treat her well, while she did nothing, only took, demanded, and expected. But love and marriage built only on receiving never last. Relationships sustained by constant give me, eventually collapse. Lu Qi also pointed out that the boy was far too weak, unable to say no to her disrespectful behavior, and he hoped the two would go their separate ways, peacefully, and for the better. Then it was Professor Tu Lei's turn to comment, going straight to the point. "If you talk like a child, how do you expect to get married? Children can't get married." He continued, "This whole idea of treating a woman like a child is a fantasy of immature men. Some people think it's cute, but they don't know the difference between what is shameful and what is dignified." Then he delivered his sharpest critique. "I hate when someone pretends to be a child to hide the ugliness inside them. They think that if they act like a child, they can throw tantrums whenever they want. Today we're seeing a woman in her 20s insisting on being treated like a child, demanding that her boyfriend tolerate all of her flaws." As always, Tu Lei presented a complete perspective. He recalled the love story between Jose and Sanmao. Sanmao said she wanted a big house and lots of delicious food. But Jose explained he had no money for that. Sanmao then replied, "If my husband is Jose, I can give up everything. I can even eat one less bun a day." That is true love. Someone willing to give, not just to demand. Tu Lei concluded, "You are not a child. Lift your head and look at me. Stop treating yourself like a child. If any man tells you he'll spoil you like a child, that man will never stay with you for a lifetime. He's just saying that to fool you. Do you understand?" And he was right. The young man didn't have the emotional or financial structure to support such a spoiled, demanding, high-maintenance girl. He needed someone who knew how to give and receive, who knew how to live real life, who didn't spend recklessly, and who valued the person beside her. Tu Lei said all this patiently, but even then, the young man still wanted to save the relationship. The girl, ashamed by the expert's criticism, no longer dared to come back out. She grew embarrassed, wanting to hide from the stage. But deep down, she wanted him to love her better, and wanted him to learn to love someone who truly deserved it. Because in a relationship you can't just keep giving endlessly, and much less demand without limits. True love is built on mutual respect, mutual support, and shared responsibility. And that's where the story ends. If you, watching from the other side of the screen, have something to say, leave your thoughts in the comments.
And in the end, what's left of this story is exactly what we're all tired of seeing. Yet another Chinese man accepting emotional absurdities worthy of a cheap soap opera, all because he doesn't believe he can get another relationship with a woman who is even minimally decent in appearance. And I say this every time, every single time, yet reality keeps handing me new material. It's always the same pattern. The guy accepts humiliation, accepts disrespect, accepts childish tantrums, even accepts a random sworn brother who appears out of nowhere but doesn't accept his own dignity. And I keep wondering, What goes on inside the mind of a man who puts up with this? And the answer, in most cases, comes down to two things: social fear or romantic fear. The first one is cultural. In China, ending a relationship, especially if the woman is young and considered above average, becomes a target for family pressure and social criticism. The family asks, the neighbors comment, the friends joke, and the man feels even smaller than he already did. And that weighs heavily. The idea of not being able to find someone like her again is real. Not because she's a treasure, but because many men believe their own value in the dating market is low. And then comes the second factor: appearance. It's incredible how much this shapes absurd dynamics. In most stories where the man accepts this kind of emotional abuse, the woman is above average in looks, or at least above the average of the men she chooses to control. And what happens today? A phenomenon becoming more and more common. The "I do whatever I want and don't care about any consequences" mentality. If a woman is between 18 and 27, she's in her golden age in the Chinese dating market, young and even minimally attractive. She can do whatever she wants, have an official boyfriend, backups, semi-backups, a flirty friend, a brother, an available ex, and the poor official boyfriend carrying all the emotional weight thinking he hit the jackpot. And the worst part? They know this. And they use it, and they abuse it. Usually this type of woman has an official boyfriend, the guy who does everything, not handsome, not rich, but obedient. One or two good-looking backups who do nothing but boost her ego visually. A rich but ugly and older backup useful for occasional favors. And the circle of little brothers who complete the ecosystem of constant validation. And when she hits 30? When age arrives, when beauty no longer buys the same pedestal, when the handsome ones, the rich ones, and the brothers evaporate. That's when she looks at the official, the average guy. Not handsome, not ugly, not rich, not poor. The one who was always there waiting, collecting the emotional crumbs she left behind. In the end, he becomes the plan B that she treats as if he were plan A. And the worst part? Many accept it because they believe that's the best they can get. And this whole story is just another example of how this dynamic has been repeating more and more in China's dating scene. It's no coincidence the country is facing social crises tied to dating and marriage. 63% of young Chinese men say they're afraid of relationships. Marriages have dropped almost 50% in the last 10 years, and the birth rate has fallen to the lowest level in over a century. Why? Because relationships like this, built on ego, interest, emotional dependence, and infantilization, are becoming far too common. And no society can sustain that for long. In the end, this story only reinforces one simple truth. Love is not being an emotional babysitter, not being an ATM, not being a substitute father, and definitely not being a human doormat. Love is reciprocity, respect, maturity, and partnership. Everything this couple, or rather, this unbalanced duo, lacked completely. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel for more stories like this, and leave your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.